Welcome back to the weekly Brooklyn Market Update brought to you by Anglin Volkers Brownstone Brooklyn. My name, of course, is Katriona Carney, and of course, I'm joined again by Donald Brennan. How are you, Donald?
Doing well, Catriona. As we both know, crazy time of year here. Things get a little more hectic on top of what has been a busy, surprisingly busy fall real estate market here in Brooklyn. So, ratcheting up, but it's all good. It's all good.
All good. So this is our last report for 2020. And we're going to review where we are right now in terms of the new to market and in contract listings across those 16 key neighborhoods in Brooklyn that we currently track. And also look at where we expect to be normally at this time of year, so that we can get an understanding of how things have changed, how things perhaps might change. Highlight some of those conclusions from 2020, the impact that COVID may or may not have had on where we find ourselves now. So let's start by saying, how strong are we finishing the year in Brooklyn, Donald?
Excellent question. Our reporting that we do weekly looks at the new to market in contract listings occurring in the marketplace, both at the luxury segment of the market and everything below there. So for both segments, continued strength there as far as deals going into contract. In the luxury segment, fourth week in a row that we had contract signings exceeding new to market listings. And then the below 2.25 threshold, we had 59 deals going into contract last week and only 25 coming to market. So it's a factor of 2.5 there. So that's a good thing to see. It's not, again, surprising to see the new to market numbers decline as we head towards the end of the year. Typically a very slow real estate transaction period because the buyers are kind of moving on, looking at other things, obviously focused on other things as far as what their responsibilities are. So no surprise there, but the in contract activity very strong. So really great to see that.
So if we look back at 2020 and we remember what happened in 2019, and of course you or I are in the market, so it is in our heads, we know what happened in 2019, but lots of people out there maybe don't appreciate. So are there any trends and patterns that happened in 2020 that may have surprised us?
So we started the year on the trends that were established in 2019, where there was some weakness across the board in most asset types that we track here. And volume down substantially, volume coming off peak back in 2016, 17 for condominiums especially. Townhouses a little more stable, but still kind of trending down through 2019. So we saw that trend continue first quarter of this year, but pricing stabilizing, particularly for the townhouse market. Continued weakness in some of the condo product and the development product. So there was a continuation of established trends there of what I would call weak to stable, depending on the different asset type or price point that you're talking about. And then clearly, we went into this period of time of peak uncertainty due to the pandemic, the appearance of the pandemic here in the United States and New York City in particular early on, very intense. So tremendous uncertainty there. And in those moments, I think it's human nature for all of us to kind of maybe start to doubt and be concerned about what lies ahead and what will the future bring, and hard to remain optimistic in certain circumstances for sure. But we try to always kind of be the voice of reason as we look at data and see what's going on. And as time went by, even though there's continued calls for the end of urban centers, the end of New York City, which we've heard before, it's proven to be not the case. And in addition to the pandemic, some very tragic and social issues of the Black Lives Matter occurring here and elsewhere in the United States, and social justice issues. So a very high level of tragedy, uncertainty, some chaos there for sure. And as we move through there, getting to August, for example, peak or a record number of contracts or deals going into contract in that month, year over year. So that was great to see. And from there, that demand, that confidence has established itself. Little ups and downs as we go week to week, but longer term, looking at the luxury market, more deals are going into contract in December here than there were back in June, and that trend line is pretty much up, just upward movement from June to December. So really nice to see that, and to me it points out the idea of this resiliency and how resilient urban centers like New York City, like Brooklyn are. We had a neighborhood here, or a group of neighborhoods in the 11231 zip code that did show up on the 100 most expensive zip codes in the United States this year. The only Brooklyn neighborhood, which includes Cobble Hill, Carroll Gardens, Red Hook, Columbia Street Waterfront District. So again, evidence that there's demand, there's stability, and the participants are much more active later in the year than I've seen them in previous years. But would you agree, Catriona? Is that what you're seeing out there?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like things are busier now than they were this time last year. Absolutely, no doubt about that. And we're seeing that from the sell side, and we're seeing it from the buy side as well, which is great to see. As you say, it shows people's resilience and belief in the city, and particularly in Brooklyn, I feel.
Yeah.
So 2021 has a ring to it, doesn't it? 2021.
Yeah.
What are we thinking in terms of what we should be watching out for as we start in the first quarter of 2021?
So, obviously some headwinds still here. There's, talk of the light at the end of the tunnel, still in the tunnel, but maybe getting closer to the end. So there's still some challenges there from a macro health perspective for every inhabitant around here and the rest of the United States, obviously. So we still have that to work through. But one thing I see happening is that the cycle, which typically the most transactions in New York City occur in April, May, and June of every year, where people are just kind of getting things under control, under contract, setting their plans going forward for what may come in the fall. Again, based on what I've seen here out in the marketplace, selling things, interacting with people, I expect that cycle to possibly move forward a little bit and get underway a little bit quicker. So that's great for sellers that are out there in the market early in the year. Inventory going down, maybe make it a little more challenging for buyers, depending what you're looking at, what the price point is you're looking at. So I see a little shift in general market activity. Interest rates are still very low and forecast to be low for some time. So that's certainly good news for any buyer looking to put financing on a property. And I think overall the economy is forecast to strengthen. Every city a little different, every metropolitan area a little different, but there's certainly I think some stable footing here with evidence of increased demand that should support pricing for particular assets, not across the board, but for townhouses for sure, which are a limited asset, as we know, right? There's just a limited number. We've talked about before, only about 2% of those trading hands in a year. So hopefully that is going to translate into stable pricing on the sell side.
So that's it from us in 2020. We'll be back in 2021 with more accurate and informed observations, of course, on the Brooklyn property market, and wish you a happy and healthy holiday season and new year.
You too, Catriona. Enjoy the end of the year here. And one more reminder to our viewers and listeners, don't hesitate to reach out, right? Everybody's circumstances are different. We understand that. And we're happy, willing, and able to talk to you about your particular needs and your expectations. So never hesitate to reach out.
Okay, it's bye from me.
Bye.